right, this is our real thoughts on Osmosis Jones, which after seeing the Nostalgia Crave review we're doing this week, I have nothing but praise for this movie. I'm not going to say what we're reviewing this week.
I have a
summer cold, but it was pretty tough to get through, so... But even before seeing this piece of shit, Osmosis Jones, honestly, with the exception of the live-action stuff, it almost works. I kind of felt bad trashing it at some point.
If you take the live-action stuff out of it, it's not that bad of a movie.
It
works in a kind of teenage magic school bus kind of way, like...
Yeah, and some of the jokes actually are clever. Some of the, environments are clever, and the designs and stuff like that.
Animation isn't bad. I thought the animation was interesting. I didn't hate Chris Rock as Osmosis. I didn't hate any of the voice cast.
Yeah, I mean, the actors really are fine. But the big thing for me, we'll get to all the live-action shit in a minute, but just the animation part itself, which was done by different people, I tried to emphasize that in the review, is that, for me, the big thing that dragged it down was the cop cliches, which is like, okay, if you're gonna do the cop cliches, have fun with them, go goofy, go really big or mock them or whatever, but when it's really...
They didn't bother me as much as they bothered you. I will say this, if you're going to do it, then have more fun with it.
Yeah,
I felt like they kind of just was like...
cliches.
I felt like they were kind of just saying, here's a bunch of cop cliches, but they didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, it's like they weren't like, hey, and here's how we're making fun of it, or here's how we're doing something different. It's like, no, when he's gonna mope and dope because he's kicked off the case, he's gonna mope and dope. And he has to convince the partner to come back, and it's like, none of it's funny, none of it's new, nothing's creative about it.
I guess it didn't bother me all that much, but maybe that's because the live action stuff was so terrible that the cop cliches in the animation I thought were a godsend, by comparison.
No, this is one that I think, some people are saying that there's a fan base for it, which doesn't shock me, honestly.
Now, if you try to tell me you love the live action portions of this, I'm gonna have to be like, what? But if you tell me you like the movie overall as a whole and thought it was an interesting,
that would shock me.
Because the animation's the best thing about it, by far.
Well, and even the creativity behind it. I mean, there's a lot of little jokes in the background, in the foreground. It's clever.
It's kind of a poor man's gritty magic school bus.
Yeah.
And I always love the idea of being shrunk down and going inside a human body, kind of like Fantastic Voyage or something. So.
Well, I like the little piece in the middle ear, the little our founder, and it's a sperm and stuff like that. It's legitimately clever stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's when you have to get to the actual story, which even not the story just of this disease trying to kill, the city of Frank, which I mean that's funny too. They talk about Frank like he's a city. Is
though I have to
cool,
wonder,
why
would it be to them that Frank is the planet, considering the size?
Well, no, because there's other they can transfer to different parts of people and stuff like that.
Then would Frank be a country? I just feel like, given his size,
maybe that could make more sense. There would be various cities in Frank.
What a Bob's Burgers moment. Oh my God, why am I analyzing this?
And with your cold, you can do that voice a lot better too.
Lana!
Take Giselle. It's one of those movies where it's like watching it. I was like, I'm almost liking it. You have to get through a few painful puns, but like I said, the big thing for me, even if you took out the live action, was
the puns were lame, but they were mostly harmless.
There were some that worked.
They were mostly harmless. The only time where I started just flipping my shit is Kidney Rock. I'm like, oh
yeah,
Christ.
No, and it's really
you gotta throw Kid Rock in this fucking movie. Come on.
Yeah, no, that shit was painful, but no, I take it back. That shit was nothing compared to the live action stuff that the Farley Brothers directed. The Farley Brothers did not have much, if any, connection to the animated stuff at all, and it shows when you cut back and forth, and there's no connection in tone between these.
No, and the original concept, I guess, was it was gonna be something like 5 to 10 minutes tops of live action, and then the Farley whatever brothers got involved, and from there it ballooned into this whole other giant movie.
This was shortly after There's Something About Mary, and they were a big name by then, I think.
Yeah, I guess this would have been
it was like 2 movies after There's Something About Mary, I think. I took a look at it. It was pretty close.
If you look at like the original draft and idea, it's like it would have been mostly animation, 5 to 10 minutes of live action, and I still don't think, given what we got on screen with the animated stuff, it would have been a great movie, but it would have been good and a hell of a lot better than this, because just when you're getting into the animated stuff, it keeps cutting back to Bill Murray popping a zit or some shit.
Yeah, and being really unlikable. I mean, like, there's the loser, bum, whatever, trying to get his life back together. He is so annoying and unlikable in this movie. And I love Bill Murray. I mean, he's one of my favorite people to watch. And
Bill Murray's one of my favorite comedic actors, and I just... so miserable to watch it, and I don't even get where they were going. Like, the whole backstory about Osmosis Jones and not being able to defeat the bacteria and the oysters or whatever that made him barf on Molly Shannon. I'm like, so was he normal before that? And if so, why is he so insanely slobby now? Like, none of it made sense.
Yeah, no, and you can tell,
like, so was he always slobby? Was it...
No, like, they showed him as, like, this, pretty, like, successful guy. He has, like, a suit and everything, and he's charming and everything, but then as soon as he does that thing where he pukes at the woman, which, don't get me wrong, I mean, I could see that having an effect for a while, but I mean, to destroy your life. I mean, he was a nobody.
Well, and the funny thing is that 2 minutes of Bill Murray acting more normal at the science fair was more interesting than all of Bill Murray and the rest of this movie.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, if you're going to do that, I don't know why they didn't just make him Bill Murray. Honestly, this movie may have been funnier if his name was Bill and it was just supposed to be Bill Murray.
Yeah, no, like he'd go into a Hollywood event or something like that, like he doesn't dream himself well. I do like what they did with
doesn't dream himself well, like, well, I guess you could do that in a kid's film, like snorting lines. Man, the drugs are messing up the city of Bill.
But I will say, the big thing that, we were noticing watching it, which is like, I mean, I don't know, it's pretty hard to argue, was how much of this made it into Inside Out. I mean, especially the circular room where they're talking the microphone controlling his thoughts. I mean, I'm just like, whoa, this is getting a little weird. And then the movies being the dreams and the subconscious inside. I mean, it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, I mean,
it goes around. The Futurama episode with the worms building a civilization in Fry's gut, I think, came out the same year as Osmosis Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens. The whole point, I think, is that it doesn't matter where the ideas come from. It's how you execute it.
What you do with it.
Obviously, Inside Out executed it well. And this, not as much.
Yeah. Like, it
may have had a chance if they had more time to develop the animated parts, but...
Yeah.
Since you have to keep cutting back to that bullshit,
Yeah, I think it had some good ideas. I think it had, and again, there's stuff to admire about it. I think when we were filming this, Tamara was like, okay, just for the record, I really like this movie. And we're like, no, fair enough. We're saying the cartoon's fine. We're like, the live action was pretty bad, though, right? I mean, everyone's in agreement with that. She's like, yeah, everyone hates the live action stuff.
Well, can you imagine if you had taken it out? You would have had more time. Thrax would have been a more interesting villain. You would have had
he
time
looks cool. He has a cool voice, but he barely says anything.
Voice, yeah. And I'm like, this guy would be bad at it, and he's a disease. His goal is to kill him, and then he's like, and then next I'm gonna go for his daughter, and then all these. I'm like, this is fucked up.
Yeah, this could be a cool
This
villain.
would be a great villain, but there's no time to really develop it. Same thing with Osmosis Jones. They do that backstory, but it doesn't really make much sense.
You barely see him in the backstory. I'm not even sure really how he
failed. In the original cut, apparently, like, some of Osmosis Jones, like, his family or something was sucked out in a blood test or something. Like, so, and I'm like, that would have been amazing. Like, there's all this stuff you could have had in the animated part of the story that they didn't do because you had to keep cutting to Fairley Brothers bullshit. And I mean, it's bullshit. It's not even, it's like grade F comedy stylings. It's not even like, and I like There's Something About Mary. I like parts of Double.
I like Kingpin, yeah.
But even on some of their lower movie levels, this is about as bottom of the barrel as it gets for me. I'm like,
I can't say because I have not seen their more popularly hated movies, except maybe Dumb and Dumber 2, which I didn't hate. But yeah, there are so...
Well, and the acting, just like, well, back when your mother... your mother didn't die. God rest her soul. Your mother didn't die. She's got sick. Oh, yeah. I'm like, what? I can't. And then at the end, like, I feel terrible saying it, but she's so heartbroken over this, and I'm just like, really, kid, you might be better off. He's just such
He's so unlikable.
Yeah, and I didn't feel any sympathy because of that. And I'm like, he's dying, she's all upset, and I'm like, if I felt any sympathy for this character, like, this would be an upsetting scene, but it's not, because I'm like, just please die.
You know, gross out humor is not impossible to make funny, but in my opinion,
No, I know
it
something
is
about
so
Mary did it pretty
difficult.
well,
It is so difficult
Yeah.
to do because a lot of it just involves around ew, gross, and there's not much pain involved in it. To me, like psychological or physical pain is much funnier than I'm covered in something nasty.
The barfing scene was ridiculous. The zit scene was ridiculous. For me, though, for some reason, where I lose is when he brings his foot up at the table at the seafood restaurant.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
And I'm like, because he barked at the science fair, I guess now.
Yeah, now he does this. I mean, it makes no sense. And how, you know, I know they're going for a joke when they say, like, then he lost his job at the pea soup factory. Okay, I get it, because what he viewed looked like green soup and pea soup, and people could be like, oh, he's like saying something or whatever, a bad image. But then you have to go to the sentimental, the heartfelt stuff, and it's like, this makes no sense. Why he would go from a pea soup factory to cleaning elephants
and
at a zoo.
It's funny reading the interviews because, like, some of the people on the animation side were like, oh yeah, the Fairleys are bringing so much to this story and this and that, and I can't tell if, like, they were serious or this is, like, the studio made them say that, or it's Stockholm Syndrome, they just were so taken by shock, they're like, well, I guess it's gotta turn out good, right? Like, you know, but it very much had this PR kind of feel to it, like, oh, we're so grateful to them, aren't we? Yes, right?
And it's so tough because I think the Farley brothers can do